Hello everyone, my name is Joe Scorsone, channel is called Scorsone Enterprises, and today we're fixing some code. We're not really fixing, we don't have to fix what was already done, but we have to add to it, right? We have to make it better. We have to actually fix the concept that we had earlier on, right? Because we're going to be pricing barrier options again in C++. Also, if you guys just want to see me price stuff and do stuff for quant finance in C++, I'm down for that, but just let me know, because the other two videos I posted just haven't done nearly as well as any of really the option pricing videos that I've done in C++. I don't know if it's a C++ thing. I don't know if it's an options thing, but I'm going to keep on doing what's working because I want the most views and watch hours, so eventually I can get paid from this and advertise other stuff I make on my channel, right? Makes sense. I'm here to please the people, you know? So if you guys just want to see me do quant finance stuff in C++, that's totally fine. I'll keep doing that. I never really write in C++ when I have to actually do something. If it needs to be performant, it's either Zig or Go. And if it needs to just do the thing, either Go or Zig, or Go or Python, right? That's just me. That's what I like writing. And I like being told when I have a memory leak. I like the Zig compiler a lot. It's very nice. But yeah, I'm not going to keep on like pumping out content that just nobody wants. So if you guys just want to keep on watching stuff in C++, I'm down for that, but I don't want to just put out random content that like, I mean, I feel bad if those 70 people do want to watch the other stuff, but I don't know, you got to follow, you got to do what you want, right? You got, it's a democracy around here. You got to do what the people want. But we're going to get right into what was wrong with the previous code, but this is my X. I'd appreciate if you guys give this a follow. Everything on here is on here first, stuff like that, right? So close to 1,000. So close to 1,000. This is my algo with LuxAlgo. You get two indicators with it. You get these machine learning levels and you get this machine learning prediction. You get two machine learning indicators that can just live right in your trading view. Of course, it does help me out a great deal if you guys like to actively trade and want to try out my indicator, right? You could try it out. If you don't like it, you could always just cancel. But I think that you'd like it. And right here's the repo for what we're going to be doing today. It'll be in the description as well. So let's hop into this code, right? Yes, okay, I got rid of it. Because also in the last two videos, I've been trying to decide what I want to do more consistently. If I want to actually type the things along with you guys, or if I wanted to just talk about the code. I think I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing right now. And that is, like, I have the repo open on this screen as well. I have two. I have the repo open here as well. I'm going to talk about the things and just copy and paste from the repo. So that way, like, I'm still adding text to the screen. It gets visually pleasing, and the video is not 45 minutes. You know, I don't want them to be that long. So yeah, the problem that we had here was that I'm also going to talk like you know what a barrier option is. I go through them in more detail in the first video, right? So if I said like down and input and you just don't know at all what that means, watch the first video. I explain it there. And I'm not going to do it right now because this is part two. But in that first video, I didn't price a down and out or a up and in put, right? That doesn't, still conceptually, it doesn't make sense to me why you would want that. But there are scenarios why you would want that, right? Hedging exists, shorting options exists, right? There are just different ways to get the exposure that you want. And even if it doesn't make sense to me to take the trade right now, that doesn't mean that it shouldn't happen. And so that is pretty much what we're fixing here, is adding support for like down and in calls, up and in puts, right? The direction of the contract not making sense, but then it coming into existence just to lose value. But there is a way to trade that, right? And if you want to hedge, that's the perfect way to do that, right? But I digress a little bit about that. I talked about it better with a little bit more detail and passion in the last video, I suppose, but we're going to be adding that functionality to it. All right, so if you guys watch the first video, we have this class, this little constructor, this pricing API to price based on the barrier type. It'll call whatever function, and we have this Black-Scholes, or vanilla as I'll refer to it, pricing function. So now, down here, we have what we're actually going to implement. Price up and out and price down and out are going to be the functions that we're going to be finishing for calls and for puts. So first things first, we need some variables for both calls and puts. We need a lambda, a z, an x1, and a y1 for calls and puts. The lambda is the drift component of it. It's the expected logarithmic return in terms of volatility, right? We're adjusting the expected return for the risk-free rate, for the dividends, for the volatility, right? That's what this is representing. Now we have this z-score right here. It is a probability measure. It's pretty much, it's how far the current price is from the barrier in terms of volatility, right? So this pretty much represents how likely we are to hit that barrier in terms of volatility. But then we have this x1 and this y1. This represents the how far in the money the contract is, and this represents all the paths for the price hitting the barrier and then reflecting back. Right, so this is the paths that we take to the barrier and back. This is how in the money we are. This is how far we are from the barrier in terms of volatility. And this is the expected return adjusted for risk-free rate, dividends, and volatility. This is needed for calls and puts for both kinds of barrier. So let's go through now and work with our A, B, and C, right? So our A, B, and C is what we get from all this good stuff right here. And right, let's talk about this, right? So our A is like our Black-Scholes component. We're pretty much taking a Black-Scholes component and then adjusting the price based on the barriers. Because you have this Black-Scholes component here, and then we have this B, which is adjusting the price of the Black-Scholes component based on the barrier. And this C takes into account the how do I want to say this? It's the other barrier adjustment that works. It works with B. You can't have. It doesn't make sense to price with just one or the other, right? So this B term is adjusting A based on the probability of the price hitting the barrier, and then C adds back that barrier breaching scenario, right? So if you remember, we have this probability, or not probability, but we have this value of the barrier, of the price hitting the barrier and reflecting back. So we're pretty much then breaking that up into the price hitting the barrier and then the price reflecting away from the barrier. So now in both of these, we're scaling A pretty much by the way that we expect price to interact with the barrier. That's what both of these are. And it's represented in A, B, and C, right? We have this Black-Scholes component, barrier adjustment term. It is the paths that breach the barrier. And then we have C, which adds back certain barrier breaching, right? It's a little chewy to think about, especially without like visualization and stuff like that. But it's, I don't want to just say like it's there, but it is. It's one of those things that you have to do a lot, and then one time you look at it and you're like, oh, right. So again, for puts, but in the opposite direction, right? We have our Black-Scholes component, we have our vanilla, and then we're scaling it with our first barrier term and then the other barrier possibilities. So that is for up and out contracts, calls or puts. And then it is the same concept for it's the same concept for down and out as up and out, is that we have our lambda z x1 y1. We have our right, and remember, right, this is our Black-Scholes component, so it makes total sense that they're the same for puts in both of them. right? And even for calls, I'll put the calls one in there. Oh, yeah, I actually do want to have that. Calls also the same, right? But we interact with the barrier differently. So now, and there's also a cool way to verify this, right? So if we go ahead and run this, right, compile it and run, we see that, well, let's look at calls first, right? Our vanilla call price is $11 and call 34 cents, $11.94. Our up and out call and our up and in call are priced differently, of course, but if you add those together, the sum of these two is our vanilla, as well as the sum of these two is our vanilla. If we come down here, it's better explained right here, right? Call up and in plus up and out is $11.94, and our vanilla is not $11.94. That's how we know that we priced them correctly, right? When that axiom holds. If we go up here again as well, if you guys remember, up and ins is just the vanilla minus the up and out. That is what it is. It's a feature, not a bug. That's how this works. But yeah, I saw one of the comments on the other video and it was like, hey man, like that's pretty much like you do have scenarios where you'd want an up and input. And after I uploaded that last video, I was kind of like, yeah, I bet that you do. And shorting options is the thing. So of course I want to short something that exists. I don't want to short something that doesn't exist, right? So that way I can actually make money. And hedging exists. There's a bunch of different stuff for it, right? So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Updated code will be in the description. But yeah, now we have a script to price barrier options that actually prices all the barrier options. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. Hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Hope that you guys subscribe to the channel, all that stuff, like it. If you like this kind of stuff, comment other kinds of videos that you want. 12-minute video, I like this length. I like copying and pasting it from the repo and stuff like that. I prefer to do it like that. So yeah, catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.